So I figured I'm still kind of moving in, but I figured for a couple of reasons I'd give an explanation of what's in my home shop toolbox. Um, this a lot of this was picked up as a lube tech and then a line tech at a dealership. A lot of it was just stuff that I bought over time for jobs I needed. That's really the best way to buy tools. There's a lot of people that go into being a lube tech and they think they need every different kind of socket and they need every different kind of screwdriver and they need every different kind of Torx driver. Buy the stuff you need and spend all your money on the stuff you want to do, because my advice is this: if you are a professional technician and you like cars, not too terribly long after you start being a professional technician, you're not going to like cars anymore. But I'll kind of go through what I have in here. This toolbox is still sort of empty. I'm working on it. But the first thing, especially if you get a new toolbox, this little Brother P-Touch little label printer is great because you can label all your drawers, and not only can you find stuff, but if you work at home, don't let people at the shop use your tools unless you use their tools. But if you work at home, people that come over and mess around with your stuff can find your tools and, more importantly, find where to put your stuff back. So this is the money drawer right over here. It moved. It was in the other box, but this is a fairly complete set. There's a couple of things I'm missing. At one point, I had this full set of deeps. One went missing or whatever. These are made in USA. They're awesome. It's called the Socket Boss, and I want to say it's like Wright Engineering or something, but these rails pop off, and then you can walk away with the rail if you're working at the back of the car or whatever. They're pretty well built. If you put a bunch of impact sockets on it, they're going to flex a little bit, but they shouldn't break. And usually it's easier than this, but one-handed with the camera and what have you. So they click, so you can just pick up the whole thing and take it too. So I've got metric over here and SAE over here. As you can see, they're fairly complete. I mean, I'm missing a couple of deeps here and there. These are just various hex for various jobs I've done. This was kind of a silly purchase. If you're going to be a lube tech at a dealership, just buy the big one. There's not too many oil filters. They're going to be smaller than this. But in the odd event that you find one, it's one of the best oil filter wrenches in the world. A lot of people won't tell you this. And if that won't get it off, then something like this unit right here will definitely get it off. And if that doesn't get it off, tell them to go somewhere else. I have two 1/2-inch breaker bars. One is a Matco 30-inch. I do not recommend that tool. It flexes a lot. This is I want to say it's like a Pittsburgh, so Harbor Freight, which was bought because I couldn't find the Matco at one point. That'll happen. You probably want to buy these wheel sockets. They come with liners. You eventually lose the liner, but even so, with the liner gone, it's so narrow compared to most lug nut holes, you're not going to damage anything anyways, and they tend to fall off after a while. But they make 4 different sizes or 5 different sizes of these. You want your 19 and your 21, and if you work on dumb stuff like Fiats or whatever, you can pick up that 17 as needed. So these are twist lock, and what that means is there's not a detent, but it does hold it in place. So you just put it in, and then it's sort of an interference fit. You just twist it, and then it's locked in. It won't go anywhere. These are Harbor Freight. Those are Hanson. There's downsides to both of them. These, if you have, I don't know if I have any that are on here because of this reason, but some of these tools, this is a good example. You see how it's a shallow socket and it's got the hole there. Well, if the stud's bigger than the hole, it isn't going to seat all the way down. So it stands proud a little bit. That sucks. These are all Sunex. They came in a kit with swivels, the impact deeps, the impact shallows. It had another swivel with just an anvil on it. Great kit. I absolutely love that kit. The only thing that kind of sucks is if you're going to be a professional mechanic, I don't think the swivels have it on there. These are just, this sort of laser engraving, or I don't even know if that's deposition or whatever. Right next to it, you can see this 21 mil is stamped in there too, but it's not stamped in there the best, and then, it's impossible to read. So, but there's no skips in these. There are no skips in these other than the ones missing. This set is complete. There's just 2 sockets that are out right now. But this, if you lose it, is about $4 if it's a cheap tool, and it's about $30 if it's an expensive tool. So don't lose your stuff. Don't be like me. It really sucks. And then I have duplicates of a lot of sockets from either kits I've bought or stuff that's just appeared randomly. So I have S80 and then metric just dupes. That's always useful to have. I've got a bunch of extensions for 1/4, 3/8, half, a bunch of adapters and swivels. This is that impact swivel I was talking about. These are great, even though they're not pinless. They're really, really effective. Some thumb ratchets I bought real cheap. I've got a roto thumb ratchet, which is pretty cool, that I got for really cheap as well. Anvils for your common impact driver. Those are pretty useful. A speeder, unless you're building engines, you're not really going to use it. I built engines every once in a while, so I got a speeder. If you're going to get one of these, this handle up here has a sleeve on it. Don't get a sleeve here. It's just gimmicky and it breaks. This is a broken breaker bar I got to take back to advance. The ratchet drawer. The Milwaukee non-fuel. If you're going to use this tool, you're not going to use it to put 55 foot-pounds of torque on anything. These get in tighter spaces than the fuels. They work fine. 3/8 drive's all you should need for that. This little Matco roto ratchet is really nice. It's got a nice action to it, and it's pretty small, so I like that a lot. I don't know what a lot of this stuff is brand-wise. I know that this is a raised panel USA Craftsman. This is a Vera speed ratchet, so it like spins and at rotos. It's pretty nifty. I wish it was about 2 inches longer. I'm sure they make one, but Craftsman raised panel. This looks like, I think this is like an SK style. It's definitely not an SK ratchet. I don't hardly ever use it. I had this in a comfort grip from Snap-on. This is not that. This is like a performance tool. But the comfort grip from Snap-on is a nice ratchet. Just make sure you see these little grooves here. Keep those clean, because if you don't, you're going to break stuff. And if you have Snap-on, tool truck guy will just tell you to clean it and then give you another one. Craftsman raised panel. I don't know what's in a lot of these drawers on this side yet. This is a compression tester from Mightyvac. Milwaukee hole saw kit, Mightyvac Silverline. If you're gonna buy Mightyvac, this sounds really stupid. Just go to like a thrift store or whatever. I guarantee you they have the metal body ones for like $4. This is, I think, a torsion bar tool. So this is like to take pork chops out when you work on trucks with torsion bars. I got that for my Suburban to do a lift. And a hammer drill. I keep all my masonry bits in here too. So it's kind of effective storage, right? I have a drawer. This is kind of empty right now, but it's pen, markers, crayons, and I guess a air blower. I have no air compressor. I use all electric stuff now, so whatever that's worth. Variety of C-clamps. I have a coated one somewhere that's big enough to do slide pin calipers. Nothing I have has slide pins anymore. It's all like a fixed caliper style, like, Brembo or any of those big brake kits. I think all mine are PBR, but they still work pretty well, and they're easy to reel back in. You just sort of press on the pad. All the various hex keys and bits. My hex key game is kind of weak right now, but I have hex sockets, so I hardly ever use them. These things are awesome, and when they're new, you don't even have to have them be magnetic. They'll just hold onto a Phillips screw that's machined well, but I have yet to break one of these. They're real good. I got a valve lapper I've never used. An impact screwdriver, you're going to want that for Honda brakes specifically is why I bought this one, but it's useful for a lot of things. This is a nifty little tool. It's a Schrader valve decor for tires or AC or whatever, and it's got a torque setting. So I can't do it with one hand, but basically you, can I do it here? Yeah, all right. So you twist on it and it'll snap over like that when it's tight. It's not necessary, but it's kind of a cool feature. This came in a TV mount, I think. This is a seal puller that sucks. Like, it bent the first time I used it, but I keep it around because I used to throw it away. It's still kind of useful for that job. Unpopular opinion, if you have enough tool storage, which I definitely do, I have some unused drawers. Current job drawer. So right now it's got a headlight and a mirror in it or whatever, but this is all stuff that I'm doing current job, so I don't lose bolts if I stop when I go inside and whatever I got to do. I got a little JD pocket pry bar in here, which is useful. That's all C4 Corvette parts right now. I have an electrical drawer with this power probe, butane soldering iron. These are great, worth every penny. They come with this real thin solder, which is nice, and you can use it as a hot knife too. Funny story about that. If you're using it on a hot knife and you work at a dealership and you have that big barrel trash can, and you might be hot knifing over the trash can, and if you are, make sure your bay neighbor did not just recently spray brake clean in there, because it catches on fire pretty explosively. Don't ask how I know. A bunch of butt connectors, Scotch blocks, which I hate, but you need them sometimes. Battery brush tool. This does the post and the inner ring of the battery terminal or whatever. Sorry for my camera work. I'm doing this on my cell phone at 1 in the morning. Some electrical tape, a fuse out of a car I'm working on. Tons of heat shrink, which is always great. I don't know that you really, for practical purposes, need this many sizes. You can kind of make do with about half that many sizes, but hey, if you got them, use them. I have another one of these, I think it's up top, but it is to charge, like a charging post for a side terminal battery, like all GM stuff from the 80s and 90s had. And a bunch of little ATC fuses, because that's pretty much what everything now uses. I've got AN wrenches that I got from Racetronics. These are really nice pieces. And then some vice jaws for the same company, same deal. Some interior trim tools. And then a rib nut tool, which you will probably use more than you would like to admit if you do custom stuff for your own car. Like, this is great. A lot of GM stuff, if you strip out a rib nut for like where the horn goes, you can put a new one in there. You can drill a hole and then have a threaded boss to bolt something to. It's great. Just buy the eBay kit, or not eBay, Amazon kit. They're all the same. They all look exactly the same as that. They're a little finicky to use, but they work fine. My screwdriver drawer is probably the most intimidating drawer I have. These came in like a 21-piece kit. Husky makes really nice screwdrivers. I've heard of negative things, but I've never experienced anything I didn't like about those. I think this is like some old Craftsman junk. These, I recently got these Wera, both in Torx, and they have a 6 or 7-piece kit that's Phillips and flathead. I really like those. And this thing I bought separately. It's a little micro bit driver, so it's not going to get a lot of torque, but if you just are walking around and you got to do something, that's great. A couple pocket screwdrivers. These specifically came with some Lingenfelter parts, but the Snap-on guy will give you those for free 9 times out of 10. An old Wera screwdriver that I have, and this is a cool thing I didn't know about them. This was made in 2004, if you can see that. It just says 04 there. And, so it's actually a really old driver. Channel lock picks. I try to buy USA when I can, and these are USA. These JD pry bars, some random picks from around the world. This is a great little tool. I got this at Home Depot, but you can get them from the tool truck or whatever, and it deburrs a hole. And you literally just pop it into the hole, and you go like this. This little thing swivels around, and it cuts the burr off. It's a great little tool. These are available cheap. I think I paid way too much for this on a tool truck. You can get it wherever. But it allows you to magnetize the shaft of a screwdriver, or demagnetize it, or any piece of metal really. It's kind of useful. I think it has to be ferritic though for that to work. This is a little multi-bit kit that I bought. These are always cheap. This set is completely rusting to pieces, but I guarantee you it'll work if I need like a tri-lobe bit that I don't have anywhere else. I'd recommend that. This is an electronics toolkit that I use specifically for electronics. It's kind of a as needed thing. I'm not going to open it up, but you can find them on eBay or Amazon or whatever. A little scraper for gaskets or the floor around here whenever it gets dirty. This little pick I just picked up with a free gift card. I think it was like $8 or something. Haven't used it yet, but I'm sure it'll come in use. This is my wrenches set. So I've got this kit is fine. Just don't hit them with impact; they won't last. When I bought that little mini screwdriver, they accidentally threw this in the envelope, and I'm cool with it because it's like a $30 tool, but I haven't used it yet. I know they work well though. These are all over YouTube. This I just got from JD Co. And this works. It's got a little 1/2-inch drive, so you can put a breaker bar on it, or a 19 mil wrench, I think. But the idea behind this is you take your wrench, you put it on like this, and instead of having to hook your wrenches together, which you can do, but you almost always break your knuckles on that deal, it takes the load off of that. Some Expert, which is just a Mac brand. A lot of my combination wrenches are Expert. Flare nut wrenches. These are like grinders and stuff because they don't want to give you an actual wrench, but they need some methodology for you to take apart some arbor. Some little stubbies that came in a kit that I didn't really like, but they're in here anyway. A crow's foot. This is the last one. I gave them all the ones except for the 10 away because I have no use for them. Just general random wrenches. And this is for trailer hitch balls. All my stuff is the 1.5 inch, but it's great to have. And honestly, this is a $40 wrench anywhere else that the trailer hitch companies will give you for like $20. It's great. These are amazing. They're available under 18,000 different names. These just happen to be platinum, but Easy Red and Torn and all that stuff make them. They're offset, they're ratcheting, they're flex head, and they come in sizes 10, I want to say 8 actually, but it might be 10 through 19, and you can get other sizes too. They come in a kit of 5. You'll see a mechanic reef on these, and our tool truck guy was getting pissed off after a while because people would just take this 19 and this a little bitty spring pin in there, and the ears are small and they just separate, and then you get a warranty the whole tool, and eventually the tool truck guy usually winds up getting in a altercation with the people that make those about how many they're warrantying out. But they're great as long as you know how to use them, and you know there's a level of torque, like it's a torque yield fastener or something. There's a level of torque you can put on that where you're not going to be breaking it. As long as you know where that is, you're fine. These are the Expert wrenches I was talking about. They work okay. Spend money on these, on wrenches, because if these jaws spread apart, you'll just round a fastener off and then you're screwed. So all I think I have a couple in here. Even these made in USA Craftsman ones, they were bad about spreading the jaws real bad. So there's a bunch of gear wrenches in here too from various findings and junkyards. Actually, I didn't really buy any of them except for this Husky set. This came with a couple of skips, 9 and 16 if I remember, and it stopped at 19. So I just went ahead and got the rest of the set. If you buy Husky tools, you can go into the store, and I had to order the 16 because those are just unobtainium, but you can pretty much, like, if you lose a 15 or whatever, you can just go in and buy one. It's a great thing that they have going on there. My pliers set, two of these identical channel lock snap ring pliers. I think I needed a set and didn't know where they were, so I bought another set. But this resulted in me having one with a spring on it and one without a spring on it, and they reversed. So you can see now they're for an internal or external, and then now they're for the other one. So having one with a spring and one without a spring is kind of handy. These And those and whatever, they all came in a Mac 10-piece kit at Christmas for $100 with a bag. They kind of suck as pliers. Like, a lot of them don't even have teeth. But, you know, they fill the plier drawer up. Some linemen's I never use. These are freaking amazing. Buy you some flush cuts. These are cheap. That brand right there is just fine. And they'll save you a bunch. Not only do I cut flush cut situations with them, but I also just cut random wire with them. They feel real nice and they're accurate. More dikes. You can never have enough pair of dikes, so I think this channel lock probably, or a lot of brands now are just copying their colors because they can't get sued because they're in China or whatever. You want a bunch of different of these hose pliers. These are bent, which I might be able to warranty that, I don't know, but these are bent. But you want to have a decent set of these because if your hoses have stiction, these will save your tail. These are just knockoff Cobras, blatant knockoff from Vice Grip, but or Win or whatever, but they work. Fun fact, if you go to a pull apart, every BMW comes with a toolkit in the trunk. So just take their tools if you don't have any. They're free and these are Heiko. You may not have heard of Heiko, but you can go on KC Tool and realize that they're not a cheap brand. I think these are Craftsman. Some bolt cutters I got for free that have come in useful a couple times. I just picked this set of pliers up from JDT Co. They're like $20, but it's just 4 long reach. About like this, honestly. A set of vice grips, I used to have 3, but I don't know where they went. And some duck bills. I got a couple of oxygen sensors for when I'm working on cars that, like mine, that have wideband O2 sensors for air fuel monitoring. Just backup. Fluke meter. This 115 is a great meter. You can buy it on the eBay for 140 or 150 bucks, or you can buy it new for 200 bucks. It's your choice, but these Fluke meters are almost unkillable. This one needed a fuse, and the buzzer needed clean, but other than that, it's worked well. This is for the house. It's a little voltage detect pen, so I don't know if you've ever seen these work, but it'll beep at you, and these new plugs, they're newfangled, man. You have to like plug them both in at the same time or whatever, but it may not allow me to do it. But basically, yeah, it doesn't seem to want to. You plug that in there. If it goes all the way in and it howls at you, then it's a live plug. Or you can just plug in this extension cord and it has a light. Either way. I got a power probe that makes all kind of weird noises, but it's kind of useful for applying voltage and ground to things, and then this HP tuners cable. Your diag drawers, you can never really spend enough money there. Snap-on, like wheel-style torque wrench. It's a little clicker. This is a little quarter drive, same thing. Some feeler gauges that are still in their pack because I lost my last set, but that's how I gap plugs. I don't gap plugs with that, but I have it just because. These are useful even when you're not like a lube tech. It's cool to say that somebody's brake pads are out, but when you say that somebody's brake pads are at 3mm and they start at 12mm or whatever they start at, you tend to basically be able to say, hey, you really need brakes? Not, you know, because a lot of people go, oh, my brakes aren't squealing yet. Well, you still need brakes. Little junk throwaway level. A caliper my buddy brought me that's really nice. A caliper that I bought at Harbor Freight. A spirit level. As my shop teacher told me, you know it's a spirit level if you shake it and the bubbles don't break up. I don't know why it's relevant, but a couple of K-type thermocouples. This one has... Nice. You need an adapter to plug in the blade type into your multimeter, but I think those both have like BNC plugs on them. So this is like general house stuff. That little Milwaukee Fuel undercut tool is useful for Corvettes, but it's also, if you need that tool, you need it. I can't really, like, I'm not going to tell you why you need it, but if you need it, you'll know. This is to, I think, swage or whatever the word is, like a Cat 6 connector onto some Cat 6. This is a spatula I use as a drywall mudding deal, an axe I'm going to refurb at some point, some paintbrushes, sanding block, scrunch for the chainsaw, stud finder. I'm not going to do the gimmick where you rub it over your chest and say, oh, hey, it beeped, but that's a good one. The staple gun, paint can opener. This is a sanding bit for this, so you get Velcro sandpaper, and you can put it on that, and it goes through it really stupid fast. It doesn't really last very long, so it's kind of dumb. Just get a block or some sandpaper. A paint deal for painting all these walls in here. Those pry bars are somewhere, I promise, but these are Snap-on striking cap pry bars. There's a 4-pack that you can get for like $200. If you're gonna spend money on tools, spend money on the tools that will hurt you. And those pry bars, guaranteed, if you're reefing on something and it breaks, you're gonna get hurt. So spend money on your pry bars. Little mini pry bar. This is for installing cam bearings. I think it's got an LS boss, and I have another boss for installing. That's the driver to remove it, I believe. And then I think, I'm sure this is some sort, oh yeah, this is a puller for pulling crank pulleys or power steering pulleys or whatever the case may be. Some hammers. I have a Snap-on 40-ounce dead blow that's out here somewhere. And then I've got, this is to measure things like road for 660 feet or whatever. A little circ saw for the house, a little drill. I got this whole kit of like Milwaukee tools for super cheap back when CPO Milwaukee was a thing. This heat gun, these ring compressors suck. Honestly, it's kind of dumb, but just buy one of the tapered compressors for whatever size you're using. It's worth every penny to not have to dick around with this stupid thing. Cordless sack saw, cordless impact driver, a grinder, a corded sawzall for when I don't have any Milwaukee batteries charged, and this is actually a nifty little thing. It's the inflator that I used to use when I was a lube tech, and you can see there's got a little magnifier. The glass is broken, didn't used to be. That's cool, I guess, but these are really nice inflators. The digital ones are even nicer, but you can't go wrong with analog either. And this is a little map gas torch. This one has some cool features. You just pull the trigger and you can set this on and then pull the trigger and it'll blow some fire. It's got a cruise control button too, which is nice. I usually leave that closed. And it's compatible with propane, so that's kind of nice. If you have a torch that requires a damn lighter or a flint, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Get over that stuff quick. And then here I've got a UV flashlight for looking at leaks. That one sucks. Buy a nice one. Basic tire pressure gauge. I use a really nice one for my like autocrossing and road racing endeavors and drag racing and stuff. So this is just for in the shop. I'm setting anybody that doesn't have one really. And then clutch alignment tools. These are both for LS's, like T56 transmission, but I don't know, man. They go missing, and then you got to go buy one for $8, and it's nice to have extras. This is the dumbest quick connect tool I've ever seen. You see what's wrong with this? Oh, that's right. When you exit, it doesn't do anything. These are supposed to have multiple sizes on them, but this has the 2 sizes, and it works for fuel lines for LS products, so that's great. A lighter, and the same basic tool that everybody always loses all the time. A little AC gauge. These suck. If you have manifold gauges, they're great. If you have any gauge, it's not this one, it's better than this one, I guarantee you. A battery hydrometer, which will tell you, not battery, a coolant hydrometer that will tell you what the freezing point of your coolant is. I check once a year on all our cars, and it's never been a problem, but when you have a lot of nice shit, it's nice to check. And this is for like inside duals on a dually. I haven't used that in a long time. This is the PPE drawer, so it's got safety glasses, earplugs, and then a glove apparently. This right here is empty because I moved some stuff over to the other box. And then this is brushes and grinding, so like cutoff wheels, some cup brushes, some regular brushes. It's nice to have a variety of these, and I'll tell you why. You need brass for certain things. You need stainless for certain things, especially if you're welding, because if you are welding stainless and you take mild or brass for that matter, and you brush off with it, well, then your weld's contaminated with brass or mild. It's not ideal. And then Dremels I hate. They're too expensive for what they are, but when you need one, you need one. I got a Lansky knife sharpening kit, a bunch of Sawzall blades and razor knives, an oil filter cutter. I think this is Longacre. They make a bunch of nice stuff if you're into road racing. These are those bits for that flush cut deal down on the other vibrating multi-tool or whatever. And a random hacksaw. Every once in a while you can't get power in somewhere. You need the blade from that and probably not the handle. And I've got drill bits. These are Milwaukee Cobalts. They're okay. These are amazing for wood. These little, I think they're like Red Devil or Diablo. That's what it is. But it's got a pilot screw that'll pull this in. And I tell you what, man, I hit one of these with studs in my house with one of these units, and it was just like, and these are cool too because they plug into an impact driver. But I mean, we thought we were going to be drilling for a long time, and it was like 2 seconds and it was done. These are just some crappy drill bits that I had laying around in a kit, and I took them out because the kit box was broken. This is an automatic center punch, and these are useful. I don't really have anything to test this on, but I'll do it with this bookcase. So the idea behind this is, if you're drilling a hole, you need to make a mark in the metal, but more importantly, you need a dimple in the metal so that the drill bit won't walk. Well, you take this, you push on it, and it doesn't always fire the first time, but basically, instead of having to take a hammer and hit a punch, this is spring loaded. So you drive that up in there, and then it'll hit a sear, it'll release the sear, and then it'll basically come out under the force of the spring, and it's hard enough that it'll leave a punch for you. That's kind of useful. This is thread repair. That tap kit sucks. That tap kit sucks. Basically, a lot of my tap stuff walked away, and I need to get more. And this is just my welding helmet for now, but it's going to have all my gloves and stuff in it in a little bit. That pretty much concludes. I think the rest of this box is pretty much empty at the moment, but I figured I'd give you a little small tour, which for how many tools I have, that took a long time. But in any event, if you have any questions, let me know. Peace.